Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. We continue to follow a developing story. An assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump near the grounds of a farm show in rural western Pennsylvania. We begin with the latest on the investigation from reporter Lee Waldman.
Just hours before shots were fired at a campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, we are now learning the 20-year-old gunman purchased 50 rounds of ammunition at a local gun store, according to a senior law enforcement official. The AR-style weapon used by Thomas Matthew Crooks now being traced back to his father. While the FBI is working to determine a motive behind the attack that left one man dead and two others critically wounded, former classmates of Crooks describe him as quiet.
He was just very, very bland. Didn't show no facial expressions. Just very to himself.
A search of the shooter's vehicle revealed possible explosives in the trunk. Witnesses to the shooting say they saw Crooks before shots were fired.
He's on top of the roof.
And tried to alert law enforcement.
My wife ran up to law enforcement, was trying to tell them, where he was, but they couldn't seem to see him because they weren't in the right spot to see him on the roof.
We are also learning Secret Service did not sweep the building where the gunman was perched. A source familiar with the investigation saying a local counter-sniper team was responsible for the building. However, the Pennsylvania State Police deny that responsibility.
When I say that something like this cannot happen, we are speaking of a failure.
This morning, U.S. Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle released her first statement since the shooting, confirming they will cooperate with an independent review of the incident. I'm Lee Waldman reporting for Ag Day.
And joining us now is Larissa Ream. She's from Pennsylvania. And Larissa, you were there at the rally. Tell us about your experience. What did you see? What did you hear?
My family that has a dairy farm that was 2 miles from the Butler Farm Show location. They were asked to provide the equipment to kind of flank the stage for the president. We ended up being the second row directly in front of the podium. The crowd was as excited as I've ever seen. The energy was high, the music's playing, everyone's kind of on edge waiting, when's he gonna get here? Yeah, then he came out. He had actually turned to look at the screen is when the gunshots started going off and everything kind of escalated from there.
Obviously he went down, Secret Service piled on top of him.
Yeah.
What did you and your family do?
We heard the shots and my family, I know in specific, we just kind of stood there staring like what's happening. You never expect something like this to happen, and especially not with you being front row encountering it. But, we instantly kind of crouched down. I wouldn't say we ever even fully hit the ground. And as soon as Trump had stood up and, put that little fist bump up there, everyone was shouting and cheering. And it was the craziest thing you could ever encounter. You never expect to be at something like that. It's stuff you read in your history books, but you never expect to witness it in your lifetime. It was incredible seeing the Amish community there. My brother, he has large bins and he does 2,000 acres of, corn and soybeans, and they do some wheat and stuff like that. So it is a large ag community, and just the event grounds, the Butler Farm Show grounds. I grew up exhibiting dairy cattle in 4-H there. It's just a large agricultural community that just happened to be at the right place at the wrong time.
And you can hear more of my interview with Larissa over on agweb.com. Someone else in attendance at the rally in Pennsylvania, Kip Tom. He served as the ambassador to the United Nations Agency for Food and Agriculture under the Trump administration. Now, he is also the CEO of Tom Farms in Indiana. He shared this video on X of the moments just after the shooting. He says he was about 15 feet away from the firefighter who lost his life at the rally. Tom spoke with AgriTalk's Chip Flory, who said he had a front row seat to what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania.
As soon as I saw or heard the bullet, the gunfire, as soon as I saw the president go down, the first thing that flashed in my mind was the JFK assassination, and just what all transpired after that, and how our nation actually changed course when we went under Lyndon B. Johnson, and just how the administration at that time dealt with the plenty of issues that our country was facing at that time. So this could have been big event, changing the pathway for our nation moving forward in the future. But fortunately for the president, he's okay.
Now, Tom saying he feels there was probably a failure at the very top of the Secret Service at that event. Now, Tom is now in Milwaukee for the Republican National Convention, serving as a delegate for Indiana. Other ag officials commenting, including Ag Secretary Tom Vilsack, saying on X, formerly known as Twitter, quote, that he was praying for all the victims of Saturday's attack, adding, quote, such acts ought not to happen at a political rally or any place else in our country, end quote. And the American Farm Bureau also releasing a statement. President Zippy Duvall condemning the violence, saying political differences must be resolved through dialogue and debate, ultimately decided at the ballot box, not through violence, saying, quote, such acts of hatred threaten our democracy and the rule of law, end quote. We will continue to follow this story and keep you posted on air and online at agweb.com.